Hello, my name is Mausam and I'm on this amazing journey in the hotel business in the area of sales and marketing for over 2 decades. You may visit my LinkedIn page to know more details about me. After my first video on the role of sales and marketing in hotels, I received some feedback and people wanted me to cover some specific topics. Today I've chosen the topic of market segmentation. I'm going to share some insights that I've learned over the last 2 decades. Now, this is going to benefit anybody who's already in the business or may want to come into the hotel business themselves. This segmentation topic has been covered in 3 different parts, and I'll start with the part 1 now. So here we go. In this session, we will cover the following topics. What is market segmentation? Why is it important? How does it evolve? What should be our approach? And pricing for different segments. There will be 3 parts to this series, so do go through all of them for continuity. What is market segmentation? It is primarily identifying and segregating the types of business streams of your hotel relative to their source, approach, and reason to travel. Sounds complicated? Well, we will simplify this as we go along with illustrations and examples. Broadly classifying, this could be leisure travel, business travel. Both leisure and business travel has individual and groups as such segments too. Then group travel and long-term contracts related to projects, crew movement, etc. So we got 4 broad areas to discuss further. Why is it important? This approach is of great use since it helps us to identify potential customers by answering the following questions. Why do they travel? Who to approach? When to approach? Where to approach, or where do they book from? How to approach, meaning how do they book? Without this direction, we may be wandering aimlessly. Also, as we go along, it will help you identify the segments that may be pertinent to your establishment. So let's start with the segments for individual or transient and then handle groups. The definition of groups is a bunch of travelers traveling together and requiring a minimum of 10 rooms at a given night. Less than that would make for individual travelers. We will discuss individual leisure traveler here. Why do they travel? They could be traveling on leisure just to relax, see new places, some personal agenda, meet friends and family, or to attend social events. Individual traveler could book through offline travel agency, which is a traditional travel agency shop offering solutions such as flight ticketing, car arrangements, sightseeing arrangements, and hotel bookings. Wholesalers, we will understand this better as we go along and define wholesalers. Online travel agencies such as booking.com, Make My Trip, etc. Hotel website, which is the website maintained by the brand. Then hotel direct, may call or email the hotel directly or any of its call centers for larger hotel chains, and award redemptions. Now, this is for those hotels who have a loyalty program and customers accumulate points on their stay. They may redeem these points for free stays when they are spending from their own pocket and traveling on leisure. Now see, the above points are all pertaining to where do they book from. It is important for you to understand here that we are not really in a position to control their reason to travel. Therefore, these travelers can be put in 4 different segment buckets on the basis of their booking mode: wholesale, offline and online travel agency, hotel direct, and award redemptions. Next, we look at an individual business traveler here. Could be traveling to meet customers, attend internal meetings, attend a seminar organized or sponsored by his company on feasibility studies, meet government officials, etc. He could book through the corporate house directly, through their secretary or an in-house travel facilitation desk, or a TMC. A TMC or a travel management company is the one who handles the travel requirements of large corporates who deal with huge volume of travel. Such companies could be CWT, Amex, etc. Then through online travel agency, some may wish to book through sites like booking.com and MT2. They could also book through the hotel website and approach the hotel directly. In stray cases, they could also be using an offline travel agency to make arrangements. So two new segments get added here, the TMC and the corporate house. And the other two are common, travel agency and hotel direct from the earlier discussion. And the other two are not relevant for these kind of travelers. Now let's look at groups. Possible reasons for group travel: association events or conventions, social events, corporate events, government events, sporting events, leisure series groups, ad hoc leisure groups, or even things like layover passengers, business for quarantine. They could either book directly or through an agency depending on the complexity of their travel requirement. Now here we change our approach a bit and look at travel reasons to create segments and not the booking medium. That's primarily because the reasons are strong enough and has visibility to approach the business. So the segments here are government, corporate and association on the business side, social and leisure groups more on the leisure side, and sports and miscellaneous covers the larger part of the rest. Sports has become an important segment in India over the last 10 years due to many domestic leagues. Finally, long-term contracts. This pertains to a certain block of rooms secured by a customer for a long-term period. Now, this long-term period could be defined as more than 3 months up to a year. The possible options for these requirements could be airline crew movement, project movement, a temporary office space for a small office to operate for a tenure like 3 to 6 months, or even a permanent residence of some senior official on deputation who chooses to stay in a hotel rather than renting out an apartment, which is the permanent residence here. Therefore, the segment is purely long-term contracts. All of them are grouped together. Now let's put all the segments we have learned so far and put them in one sheet. Under transient, we've got award redemptions, wholesale, TMC. We will cover this in detail as we go along because TMC and corporate house are quite a thin line differentiation. Then we've got travel agency, could be online and offline, and hotel direct. Under groups, we have association, government and corporate. Then we have social and leisure groups. Then we have sporting events or sports and miscellaneous. And under long-term contract, we have just long-term contracts. In the next session, we will go through details on how does the segmentation change based on the location of product with some examples. And what should be our approach to gain business from these segments. Now that brings us to the end of part 1 of this chapter.